I'm going to give you a template on Notion that will help you achieve all of your goals with ease in 2024. No longer are you going to have to worry about how you structure that process. I've got you covered. I've used Notion for 6.5 years, both for my business and my academic life. And I've also worked with over 50 plus entrepreneurs this year alone to see how their systems and processes work, be able to make this into what it is. I've decided to compile all that into one template itself, and I'm going to show you how to use it today. So let's get into it. Welcome to the home base of the 2024 planner. This is what you're going to be using in order to make sure you're hitting the ground running in 2024 and not actually missing what you're doing. The biggest problem that I see with people is when they're trying to get their goals, they either one, don't have skin in the game for what they're wanting to do and therefore fall off right away when they're trying to use it. And two, they don't have a process that makes it easier for them to actually understand and track their goals for what they're going through. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through each of the menu items, discussing a little bit more about what they do, how you can use them to your advantage. And from there, I'll show you how you can use it for yourself. Originally, if we go into 2024's main goals, this is where you're going to be putting your main objectives of the year. This isn't going to be something where you'll go into a massive amount of detail of what's going on. It's just things you are wanting to do for yourself, things you're wanting to move forward with. So the examples I have here is to reach 10K in investments, growing my paid community to 100 members, or running a marathon. These can be any objectives that you're wanting. And in order to add one, you can simply click this button for a new objective. A new one comes up, and here you can write down what the objective is, what you're wanting to achieve, and you can even change this cover here to whatever you want so that it can match the objective. Now, the top three at the top are the ones that you want to achieve the most. We don't want all of our main objectives to be main objectives. Some of them do trump others. So choose your top three so that they're always at the front of your mind. And no matter what's going on in that year, if you can fall back on these to be the main ones that you want to achieve and you actually achieve them, it's going to be something that you'll look back on the year and think, you know what? I actually done well with this year. Down below, you're going to have the opportunity to add new groups for things that you're doing. I've added 4 just to begin with to give you a little bit of an understanding so you can do it related to your business, lifestyle. It could be to do with your health. It could be to do with your finances. There's multiple ways of doing this, and this is sorted in the group manner. If you are wanting to add another group, you can simply add it in here and choose whatever you want. And then below, like every other page, it's going to have its own history of all of the objectives that you've got. So right here, we've got all our objectives we're wanting to do, and the completed ones, if we actually do manage to achieve them, you'll see that they now come into the goal history. The main reason for the objectives is to have your top goals that you're wanting to achieve in the year, and so that they're always at the front of mind. If we come into projects, these are going to be related to the goals that we have set out for the year. The projects are going to dive a little bit deeper into what we're doing, and there's a few things to discuss of how we can use this to our advantage and how we can make this really, really useful for what we're doing. Again, just like the main goals, we have a button here that we can select to start a new project if we're wanting to do it. But if you want to go the easy route, you can simply do a new project, and the template that has been created for the new project will be used as the default. If you're coming into the new project itself, you'll be able to insert some information of what you're wanting to achieve. So if this new project is related to running the marathon, we can select that project to be related to it. From here, we can see the complete percentage, which we're going to talk about a little bit later on, which quarter we're actually wanting to do this project in. The project reward is going to be related to what type of leverage this reward is going to do. Because we all know we like to do tasks that just kind of tick things off as we go along. I don't want to do that with this year. I want to make sure that when you're setting a task, if the project reward is something that is going to give good returns, you want that to be at the top of the stuff that you're going to do. So if the project is a high reward, you're going to want to do it first rather than those that are going to be low. And this gives you the understanding of if it actually is something that is beneficial to you or not. And finally, what we've got in this area is the current, the target, and the progress. I'm going to describe this a little bit further. Down below, you'll actually see that for each project, this can be related to the tasks and the main goal that the project is related to. And I'll describe that a little bit further once we get onto the tasks. But if we come back into this new project, and I'm just going to do a test project in here so that you can see it actually in working mode, you're going to actually be able to see all of the tasks that are related to this new project. And also click on the main goal whenever you want to see what this main goal actually is. And from here, we can see that the test project comes up and the test project is here. So again, I can open up the test project whenever I want to see what is going on, always being able to go back and forth from the things that we're achieving so that everything kind of works in unison. Coming back out here to see sort of what's going on, we can see this quarter's goals and also a new view of the completed goals of this quarter. So for example, if I'm to click the test project is to be completed, this will now go into being completed in quarter 1, and we'll be able to see it from there. But again, I'm going to untick that at the moment so that we can bring it back in. There's two different percentages that you'll see for this one. It'll be the complete percentage and it'll be the progress percentage. Now, how these work is interesting. The complete percentage is related to the tasks that are for this project in particular. So for example, if we click on the run 10 miles 5 times, if we click into this, we can see here that the tasks related to run 10 miles 5 times is in here. We've got the run the first run, when we want that to complete by, the second run, third run, fourth run, and so on. If we come into here and we check this box, we can see right now, we can see that the complete percentage is 0%. But if we check this first task off, we can now see that it's 20%. This is because the tasks are related to the project that we actually have in here. The different formula that you'll see in this area is actually metrics related to the project. There's going to be some projects that we will use that will have numbers for it. So instead of trying to have completed formulas for everything, we can separate them and create different tables for them. Because you'll see down below that the key metric projects are only the ones that have a current and a target related to them. Because if we come back up here, the test project itself doesn't have any metrics related to it. But when we're wanting to reach out to 45 people, that will have a metric to it. So if we change this to 45, we can now see how we're getting on in the progress that we're making so far. We're at 37% for that. Coming up to here, if the test project itself does have something and we need to do it maybe 10 times, we can put in here that it needs to be done 10 times. And what you'll find is that the test project now comes into the key metrics. That means the projects that have just tasks related to them can be put in here and will have a complete percentage related to the tasks. But if we want something that wants to actually be tracked numerically, we can have that in here too. And the only ones that show up in the key metrics are those that actually have a target for themselves. If a project doesn't have a target, it's not going to come up in the key metrics. Down below, you're obviously going to be able to see the projects by quarter that's sorted based on the project reward, so whichever one's highest. And you can click in here again and see them at any point of what those are and the tasks related to it in the main goal, for example. And down below, again, just like usual, we're going to be able to see a project history and all of the completed projects that we've had in order to understand this a little bit more. Projects view itself is going to be really powerful when you get used to it, because you're going to be able to track the projects that you're working on, the ones that have numbers related to them that you're wanting to track, and so much more. Following on from that, we have tasks, which we talked a little bit about just there, where we're going to be able to see the task view and the completed this week. This means we'll be able to see which tasks we're wanting to complete, which tasks need to be done, and this is something that we're going to most likely do on a daily basis to be able to move forward. If we're wanting to add a new task, for example, we can simply select the new task, and here we can relate it to a main project. Maybe this is to run 10 miles. And for the main goals, again, this is going to be related to the marathon. We don't always have to put these relations in for the main goal, but I would always recommend doing it for the project itself, purely because it's easier to do. And from here, you can put in the steps to complete the task if there's more steps related to it. But what I would recommend is separating all the task steps that you need to do for the projects. This also means when we come back into run 10 miles 5 times, we're going to be able to see this new task that I just created to have in here. The awesome thing about these tasks as well is that if we come into projects themselves and we have the test project, from this area, we can add as many new tasks as we'd like that is already directly related to the test project that we've just created. Meaning you don't have to always go back in and out of tasks to be able to see things, but you can simply come into the main project that you're wanting to do and write all of the tasks step by step of when you want to complete them, which will always relate to the new project that you've just created. Of course, this can sound a little bit complicated, but at the end of the video, I'm going to show you how you can use it yourself and how I would use it as I'm going through. Coming into the next area is something that we just talked about with the key metrics. There's going to be some projects that you have that are more related to metrics themselves. So again, right here, we've got the read 10 pages per night. That's something that would be related to a metric that you can actually track. Run 10 miles 5 times. Again, we've got something that we can track there. And from here, we can see the metrics that are grouped based on their projects. So any project that you have, you're going to be able to see the metrics that you're doing and how you're getting on in a nicer view. And finally, like usual, we have our area to be able to track all of the history for the key metrics that we've done and everything that we've completed. Once you have completed them, you can always check them off for fully complete to know that you've actually done them and that they're gone and they can disappear into the completed area. But as you're progressing forward with it, it's not something that you'll be doing. Finally, with the main areas, it will be the daily habits. Now, daily habits are so important for what you're wanting to do. Daily habits are critical for how you move forward. And this area allows you to create your own habits for how you're going to achieve all of your goals. Now, habits don't have to be confusing. They don't have to be insanely hard to actually do, but it just allows you to have the opportunity of seeing what your habits are, how you're moving forward with it, the history of how you're getting on, and more. I'm going to show you how you can change these habits to what you want, but this is just an area to see this week's habits, how you've been getting on, if you've completed them all, and also a more calendar view. The only reason that they show in the same area is because they use the created time formula. So because we're going to duplicate it every single day, they're going to show up in each day. But because I created them all on the same day, they all show up on the same day. Finally, if we use the block that I've created up here for the menu, you're going to be able to see how I've organized the sort of full thing for you to actually see. In the homepage itself, you're going to be able to see this week's tasks, what projects they are and when you want them completed by, so that you can check them off whenever you want. We've also got the current key metrics, so you're going to be able to see and update how your metrics are getting on with the things that you're doing. And finally, we also have the high reward projects to see what projects are going to be the highest reward, so that you're ensuring to focus on those as you're progressing forward. On the left-hand side, you're going to be able to see your top 3 goals for the year, and why I said it's important to actually write down what those goals are and putting them as your top 3, so that you're always seeing them and going back to them. And if you're wanting to see more in depth of the tasks and the projects that are related to running the marathon, you can come into here and you can actually see the projects that are related to it, how far along you are to complete it, and also the tasks that are all related to the running the marathon. This is such a fantastic way of just seeing everything in the one area without having to go in and out a lot of different places. Finally, what we have is everything split up into quarters for the year. So if we come into Q1, these are all going to be the same sort of template, but just split into the different times of the year that you're doing them. So we've got main goals for Q1. We're going to be seeing if they've achieved them. We've got the projects in Q1 that are all related to there and their progress. And we've also got the tasks for Q1 and being completed. You'll see that they're filtered based on the quarter themselves, and that will allow you to keep track of how the quarters are going, how things are developing, and everything's kept in one place. If you are wanting to track the actual databases themselves, this is why I keep them in the core, so that you can click onto the core databases, and if you change them from any place, it doesn't really matter. This is where they're all kept, where you're probably not going to spend that much time. So these are the areas where you can have access to all of the main databases and where they are actually created originally. From these buttons at the top, you're going to be able to do exactly what you could do in the rest of the areas. If there's a key metric you want to update, you can simply check this off, see the key metrics that you're working on, how you're getting on with them, and the same for your new tasks, your new projects, your new objective. If there's things you want to add, this homepage allows you to do it in the click of a button. If we come down here and we create a new habit for today, which I'll actually show you how to make it come up automatically. If we go back up to the top and we say that the habits were complete for the day, we crush the daily habits, we can then come down to here and we can see that the today's habits were all checked off because the button actually does that for you. All of this area allows you to see everything you need in the one go, but also being able to dive into the projects even further without actually having to maybe go and find everything, see what different tasks you're doing, and so much more. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through how I would use it myself and how you can actually just start trialing and testing things as I kind of run through so that you know what's going on and how you can utilize it when you do actually get the template. If we come into the start here button, you're going to be able to see the steps that you can do and the things that you can take you through. Step 1 is to categorize your goals. Now, obviously for you, you won't have these goals related here, but what I would recommend doing is adding in all of the groups that you want to have related to your main objectives. So is it business? Is it health? Is there something to do with your university studies? Is there something to do with work? Particular categories that you want to have for your 2024. This is where I want you to add in all of your groups that you're doing. Step 2 is to write out your main goals. Now, these are to be kept simple. The things that you're wanting to achieve, the big overarching goals, whether that is reaching 50K per month in your business, whether that's running 4 marathons for what you're doing. You're wanting these, the big overarching goals, and choosing your top 3 from here. If you do and you want to make it a little bit more fancy, you can certainly open the one that you're doing and you can change the cover to whatever you're wanting, as I always like to do that. From here, we take into step 3 where we're changing our input for the daily habits. So obviously from the get-go, you're going to have the habit 1, habit 2, and habit 3, but that's not going to be what you're tracking. Instead, what you want to be doing is you want to be coming into here and renaming whatever these are. Maybe it's read 5 pages per day. And that means you can change it to that and check that off whenever you want. And the formula in here actually changes with it because of the new Notion formula. So you see that now changes to read 5 pages per day, habit 2 and habit 3. If you do end up doing more habits and more things that you're wanting to add in, you are going to have to change this formula to work for it, but it's really, really simple to do. All you'll need to do is if you come into here and you add a 4th habit, you'll come into the edit formula, simply copy what is actually going on in the formula to add them. So for example, if we added habit number 4, which I'll do for you right now, we'll come into here, we'll duplicate this, and we'll name it habit number 4. It's a checkbox as well. So we'll come into the formula itself, copy exactly what we were doing before. So we'll do plus to number, which comes up for us right there. And inside here, we're going to do habit number 4. We're going to simply select that. After that's done, we come down to this area and we divide it by 4, purely because there's now 4 habits. So it means that when we check this off, it's now going to be full. When we take one away, it's not going to be full. If we were to keep that at 3, that would fill up when 3 out of 4 of them are complete, rather than actually 4 of them. And the other trick I like to use is for your habits themselves. You don't want to go in every single day and say, create a new habit one for me. You want it to do it automatically. So you come into this drop-down menu, you use the default here, you set it to repeat every single day at 9 AM and starting on whatever date you want. This is a really, really easy way to make it repeat itself constantly, and you don't actually have to go in and change it all there. Now that we have an understanding of how we can set it up for ourselves, let me take you through an example of how you would do this, how you would add a new main objective for yourself and things that you're doing. Coming back into our main homepage, I'm going to add a new objective. So again, I'm going to click a new objective. My new objective this year is to read 14 books. This area of life is going to be about business. Let's say I want to do that. For example's sake, let's just put it as a top 3. In this cover, I'm going to use Unsplash. I'm just going to type in book, and then I can stick that in there so it changes it to a book, and we always have that. Now, if we come back out here, we're going to see this is one of our main objectives for this year. It's going to be in the business area, and that's fantastic. So what we could do from here is add a project that's related to it. So one of the projects I'm wanting to do maybe for quarter 1 is read 4 books. Now, because this can be quantified, this is something that I'm going to want to probably have a target for. So I'm going to open this up full so that you can see a little bit more about what we're doing, and we have an easier way to actually read everything. We can see that read 14 books has a project to read 4 books. And what we're going to do is this is going to be in quarter 1 we want to do it for. The complete percentage is nothing just now, purely because we don't actually have anything that is any tasks that are related to it just now. So we know this is what we need to do. We have the 4 books in quarter 1 that we're wanting to read, and we'll try and ramp that up as we go along. If we then click onto the projects field, we can now see that read 4 books for quarter 1 is in here. Now, what I want to do is actually link some tasks that are related to reading the 4 books for this quarter. So the things I'm going to have to do is maybe choose the genre. I also want to choose my first book. And I finally want to set up an area to take notes on the book. And for these tasks, I actually want to do this by tomorrow. I want to do this by Saturday. And then Monday next week, I want to have an area that's actually doing it. And we can see that it's already related to reading the 4 books. Again, what we can add from there is to maybe complete 1 book, complete book 2, and that sort of stuff. But for now, that's not something we have to do. If we're coming back down to this area, we can still see that the completed percentage is 0. But one of our targets is actually 4 because it's the 4 books and we can quantify that. If I come into here and we now see that the read 4 books is in the 14 books area for the main objectives, we can now start to track that. So that if I do actually happen to complete one of the books, I can select 1 and now it is 25%. We can see it's the exact same here. If we actually get to the Monday and I manage to complete 2 of the tasks, I can then select that I've completed 2 of these. And we can now see that the actual percentage for the project is at 66.7%. This means we can see different variations of what we're wanting to do. If things have just solely tasks or things have targets that they can reach, we can see the percentage for both of them, meaning that at any point we do actually fully complete the project, whether that is tracking something, then we can check this off and it will disappear to know that we've fully completed it. Coming into the tasks, we can see further of what we're wanting to do and when we're wanting to do them, meaning that if we're wanting to note down what days we're doing and we've got multiple tasks that we're doing, we can then see them here and how we're actually getting on with them. Because in the projects, you can put the project reward for being at high, medium, and low. These are going to sort them for the areas you want to complete them. And this is why it's important to actually choose how much of a reward something like this is going to do. If we come into key metrics, you're going to be able to see all of the metrics in a better view. So again, I would come in here maybe just to see what's going on, but you could also use the menu itself to see how your metrics are progressing and the things that you could maybe update. Is it's not something you're going to update all the time. It's maybe something you update once a day, meaning that if I've reached out to 5 people this day, I just add this to 22 and now we are 48% of the way there. Thought I'd done the math wrong there. That would have been terrible. Finally, we have the daily habits that you're going to be able to check off. So again, if we check off these 2 and we know that we've completed all of them, we can select that we've crushed them, and these now check themselves and we have all of them complete. Again, if you do add new habits in, make sure that you're going to be adding in the 4th habit or the new area that you're doing and select where you want it to go so that they're in order. If you're keeping it as 3, you won't need to change anything like that. But if you are adding ones in, you are going to have to change the filters so that it shows the new one that you've added in and put it in the order that you want it to. Finally, coming back out to the main menu, if you're wanting to get a better overview with what's going on and how you're actually progressing forward, you're going to be able to see the tasks you're wanting to complete in the order you're wanting to complete them by. You're going to be able to see the projects that have the highest leverage so that you can come into those projects and see the tasks that you need to complete for them. If we come into the read 10 pages, you're going to be able to see the things you're wanting to do and so much more. It really does give you a lot more control of what you're wanting to move forward with and how you're wanting to progress. So I would highly recommend actually using these to the advantage and making them progress forward. If you're wanting to edit it yourself and change the template in any way, you certainly can. It's going to be one of the most powerful things that you use, and there's multiple things that you could add to this to benefit your life a little bit more. But again, everyone is unique. This might just be perfect for you. If you're wanting to get the template yourself, the link will be in the description for you. I'll be looking to upload more Notion templates coming into 2024 to help you push your business and yourself to the next level. It's one of my main objectives for 2024, and I'll be keeping track of this template to help me do just that. Have a fantastic day.